The Almost Aviation GPS Plus panel. That's what we're going to be looking at today. You can build this panel for yourself if you want to. If you're interested in that, stick around to the end of the video and I'm going to tell you how. So what is it? Well, it's basically a control panel for the FSX GPS that gives you all the buttons and switches and knobs that you need to use the GPS without recourse to the keyboard or the mouse. Now, you may be aware of various off-the-shelf products available that do that job. The ones I know about are the GPS 5 unit from VR Insight, the EmuTech GNS 530 unit. There's one from Desktop Aviator in the United States. In fact, there's two different versions of that, one with a screen, one without a screen. And Elite do a module in their AP4000 avionics range which implements the Garmin GNS 430 as an input-only device. Now those are all respectable devices in their own right. They have different capabilities and limitations, but they've got one thing in common: they're very expensive. You know, unbelievably expensive in some cases, and pretty impractical in terms of a hobbyist market, really. None of those devices will do anything that this one will not do, with the obvious caveat that a couple of those commercial products have the screen built in. This is input only. You can have the screen on an external monitor, which I have on my regular setup. You can have the screen embedded in the virtual cockpit as it is on this aircraft. This is the Cessna 337 and this is the Caronado version, not the FSD. The FSD doesn't have a GPS in the virtual cockpit. I don't think it does. I can't remember. Or you can have the 2D GPS panel. But apart from that, this unit, should you wish to build one yourself, can do everything that those commercial products can do. Indeed, if you look at the top of the range in those products is the EmuTech, which is a really nice piece of kit, but it's outrageously expensive. It's about £500 once you add up all the bits and bobs. You do need the Reality XP GNS 530 software to make use of that unit. And in fact, if you look inside that unit, what you'll find is pretty much what you see inside this unit, which is a Leo Bodnar controller board and a bunch of switches. GPS Plus panel. What does that mean? This will not only control the default G500 Garmin built into FSX, and that means you can have the G500 in any aircraft, whether it's a built-in default FSX aircraft or a payware aircraft. You can add that GPS 500 to any aircraft simply by adding a few lines to the panel.cfg file. But this is also constructed with enough buttons and switches to implement the Garmin GNS 530 or the 430, which is the 530 without the display. Which means it's got an extra rotary control, it's got radio comm and nav 1 frequency swapping buttons and a couple of other things. So you can use this with an implementation of the GNS 530, such as the one that's in this aircraft, the Caronado Cessna 337. This is not a real GNS 530. This is, if you've got the Aerosoft Twin Otter extended, pretty much the same deal. What you get is the G500 basic GPS with a nicer skin over the top of it and some of the radio functionality integrated. So you can control that fully without the mouse or keyboard from this panel. But you can also buy the Mindstar or the Reality XP GNS 530 or GNS 430 package, and you can run that again completely mouse keyboard free using just this panel. That's just about it, but not quite. I've got 3 extra controls on here which are rotary controls, and they're set up in this configuration of the panel to control the ADF card, the VOR2 OBS and the direction indicator gyro. Now of course you can set these up to be whatever you want. You can program them to be the VOR1, you could have the heading bug or the Colesman adjust for the altimeter on there. But the way I've created the graphic for this panel, by default it's ADF, VR2 and gyro, and that adds significantly again to the the realism factor when you're trying to fly this aircraft without the mouse or the keyboard. So if you want to build one of these panels, how do you go about it? Well, the simplest option is to buy the ebook, and that'll tell you how to scratch build this from the ground up, everything you need to know. You can buy that in the Kindle store. You don't need a Kindle to read it. You can get the free Kindle for PC application, and that lets you look at it with all the illustrations at a reasonable size, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. You don't need any great DIY skills to do this, or electronics skills, just attention to detail, ability to follow instructions. You get everything you need to know in great detail, how to cut and drill the acrylic sheets to make the basic panel, how to create the graphics, get them the right size, all the measurements, the component list is there, details on the wiring up, the connecting to FSX, it's all there, and it basically costs you peanuts. If you want a bit of a head start, you can buy pre-manufactured acrylic panels. You get a pair of panels to create the GPS. You can buy those directly from me. They're professionally laser cut by an engineering company. They're not hand sawn or drilled with a power drill or anything crude like that, and again very cost effective. If you're interested in the details of all of this, or if you want to ask any questions about it, you can check out the support forum. That's at www.almostaviation.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you've got.